morning, audience. Thank you, first of all, for being here. My name is Trevor Martin, and I'm the founder of RMF Coaching. And most of you have probably seen some of the previous episodes. Can't talk this morning. Previous episodes about Way of the Warrior. Now, the idea behind this is going out and looking on social media, LinkedIn, and looking for warriors that are putting up a fight against the darkness, that are pushing and promoting that goodness out there in what they do. It just so happens today I have with me Julie Hruska. And Julie, I gotta say thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here today.
Thank you, Trevor, for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And what's really cool is that we have like an Iowa connection.
Right on.
I grew up in Iowa and went to college there before I moved down south. So it's a fun connection. I'm really happy to be here. When I first saw you on LinkedIn, I was like, yeah, like I resonate with your energy, your attitude, your initiatives. So thank you for having me.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate those kind words, and I appreciate the support, especially on the platform. That means the world to me, and your message also, right? I can remember one of your lines. You were talking about the word Slayer, right? That stood out, and I'm like, this right here, this is my jam. And the message that you consistently put out is one that's that just preaches positivity and encouraging, enabling other people. And that's, me, that's my jam.
Yes, I call myself the slayer of limiting beliefs because as a high performance coach, I've found that the biggest thing that holds people back is our minds, our limiting beliefs, our fears, our doubts. And so when I started thinking about like, who am I really and what do I do? That's what I do. I get in there and we carve them out. We identify them, we excavate them, we replace them with more affirming thoughts, and then it's go time.
Man, I love that. You had me at excavating, like that digging out this, taking those old thoughts, just getting rid of those. And how do we start to think again? How do we form that new pattern? That's amazing. So tell me, did you like when we look at the things that you're doing now and what you've built, like, has it always been this way, or take us back? Like, how did this start? Like, how did you get to where you are, currently? What's the past look like?
It's such a convoluted, strange, like I think my story, when I hear it, sometimes I'm like, no way, I did not go through all of that. It's such a bizarre story. And I find that most people that are truly successful have a very interesting story. So mine started off, I grew up in Iowa in a very conservative Christian family.
Same.
Really great values. But I was really indoctrinated with my parents' beliefs and the kind of life I was supposed to have. So it was just kind of expected that I would grow up, get married, have kids, not work, stay home with my kids, raise my kids. And that's great. It's really great. I'm not knocking that. But when it doesn't work out, or when you've done that and then what, like nobody ever talked about that. So here I am, I meet a guy in college, he's older than me, I get engaged at 19, married at 20, I start having kids, I quit my job, I was a teacher back then, raised my kids, and I hit 33 years old. And at that time, my oldest son is severely dyslexic. He had some other things going on, and he needed to go to a special school to learn how to read, which was astronomically like college type tuition expense. So I told my former husband that I would go back to work, and if I could get a job there, we could get a discount on tuition. So I had been out of the workforce for so long. I was working on my master's degree. I'm trying to just bullet point it because it's such a long story. But I went out to Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I was at this brain-based gender differences training. It's quite a mouthful. It's basically how your gender affects your brain, which is really fascinating. And when I was there, I had this epiphany. It was like an asteroid literally like hit me in the head, like the wool came off my eyes, and I realized that I had completely lost my identity. I had followed I had really fallen. See, I can't talk this morning either. I had fallen into these patterns that weren't healthy in my marriage.
Right.
I had lost my identity. I was my former husband's wife. I was Ethan, Sydney, and Aaron's mom, but nobody knew me, to the point, like when I met people back then in Colorado and they wanted to connect with me on Facebook, I didn't have a Facebook. And when I went to find a picture for Facebook, I couldn't find any because I was always behind the camera.
Wow.
And so this is like the first game-changing moment for me. I realized that I had followed my parents' path and it wasn't mine. I was in a very unhealthy marriage and a lot needed to change. Pretty much everything needed to change.
Right on.
And so something in me, I was always, as my mom called, the strong-willed child.
Right.
Something in me knew, like, if you're going to make change, just like rip off the Band-Aid and make it happen. So I went home, had a conversation with my former husband. I was like, this isn't working. I don't know who I am. It's kind of like a midlife crisis, but I had it a little earlier. And that started a few really rough years because I asked him for a divorce. He said, no, we'll just push that part of the story out. It was not good. It was not healthy. And eventually he had to move out and we finally got divorced and then started like the really big heavy lifting. I ended up with full custody of my oldest, primary custody of my younger two. And I was teaching school at the time.
Wow.
So there was not a lot of income.
Right.
And a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. And I had to just stop and look at everything in my life, quiet the noise and say, okay, you have the opportunity to start over. What does that look like? Get really clear on the vision. And over the last decade of all of this, it's really evolved. It starts with clarity, and then you have to develop your vision. Once you have your vision, it's like, well, what steps do I need to take to get there? And so what I found is it involves a few components: mindset mastery, skill set development, and an unrelenting commitment to excellence, to being your best self.
Man, so I'm like so juiced right now with that last part, right? That commitment to excellence. But you said unrelenting, right?
Unrelenting, because you can't like completely change your life like I did without like pushing through, because it is hard. And I think people don't tell you that. We get out there and we're like, oh yeah, just change your life, change your mindset. Oh yeah, just do that. And we've become like a bumper sticker society with social media. You scroll, you see something, you think you can go do it. And the reality is it takes consistent effort and hard work.
Absolutely. I resonate so much with that message. I do. I'm a firm believer in it. Absolutely. Every single word, every single syllable, right? So many people, there's so many programs out there. I think I threw something up that, like, Build Your Empire the other day. You're talking about this. There's so many things on social media, so many programs people are trying to sell, like, hey, look, we'll make it easy. We'll make it easier. Just do this, just click here. Right. But the truth of the matter is, to your point, you got to want it. That's not even that's not the hard part, right? That's the easy part. Okay, I want to do this. Okay, now what steps are you willing to take? What price will you pay today to get there? And to your point, it has got to be unrelenting. Oh man.
Yes, it's that attitude, effort, action. You've got to get in there. It's like going to the gym. Nobody can think their way into having a good body. You can't sit there and be like, okay, well, I hope that I get fit. I hope that I have some better muscle tone. I hope that I lose 20 pounds. Like, that doesn't do anything. So I love mindset mastery. You absolutely have to work on your thoughts, but you have to follow it with action. And I think that a lot of people are not willing to do that. And that's why we see the stagnation, why we see the numbing out with like social media, TV, drugs, alcohol, porn, sex, all of the things that people go to to escape reality. They do it because life is hard and they're not willing to commit to do the work to make the change they need to make.
Absolutely. Oh man, I'm like, amen. Spot on. So, just a question: as you were going through this journey, as you're going through this process, right? And you hit that point where, like, you know what, I need to change, and I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna do it now. How did you land on helping other people? How did you land on this? You know, on coaching, on assisting other people.
Yeah, it's interesting because my whole life, I always had like a background and study and interest in psychology. And what my son put together for me, my youngest son, Aaron, put together for me one day is like, Mom, you've always been teaching, just been teaching different things. And so I taught elementary school, then I taught yoga, then I started teaching people mindset and high performance habits. And so it's interesting how it all happened. Was I was teaching elementary school and I had 3 kids at 3 different schools, soccer games, extracurriculars, and I was getting to work at 7 a.m., dropping them all off, getting to work, leaving at like 4:30. And there was this one day where my little guy, Aaron, my youngest, was sleeping on the dirty floor of my classroom, waiting for me to get done with my work. And I looked at him and I was like, you said I could swear on the show. I was like, fuck this. Like, this is not the life that I'm going to live. This is not the life I want for my kids. And again, going back to clarity comes in. It's a spiral. You don't just like get clear one day and follow it through. So this was like a new level of clarity for me beyond like wanting to create a great life for my kids. It's like, this is not it. And you have to know what's not working as part of it and release what no longer serves you so you can make space for something new. So I, at the time, had just gotten a yoga teaching certificate as an extra additional income because teachers don't make enough money. So I was teaching yoga and I was like, I'm going to do this because power yoga, you have a fit body, you're going to have a fit mind. So I really got into the physical aspects of success, and I thought I was going to change the world with power yoga. So I feel like I'm dominating the conversation.
No,
I feel like I'm talking so much, but
no, you're supposed. I absolutely want you to dominate the conversation because this is all about you. The audience already knows about me, so this is all about you. But the other part of me is just I'm listening because I'm like that. Like, okay, I cannot wait. I can't wait to see where this goes.
So I'm teaching power yoga, and right away I start noticing these trends. Here people are, they're coming into my classes 105 degrees, 60 to 90 minutes. Like right away, that's not for the weak, right? Like these are powerful people. They are strong physically and they want to be better. They want to improve their lives, but yet they're coming in stressed out, like all of these issues beyond yoga, and they were using yoga as a band-aid to fix their issues. It wasn't the cure, it was just a band-aid.
Right.
And so I was like, I need to actually get to the root issues. Why are these people so stressed out? Why are some of these people so depressed? Why are they coming in after being in the rat race all day long and they feel like they can't make it? Why are people in pigeon pose bawling their eyes out? Like something's got to change at the core level. And at the time I was following a guy named Brendan Burchard. He does High Performance Academy. He wrote the book High Performance Habits. And I was taking one of his online courses. I'm like, this is the good stuff. Clarity, energy, courage, productivity, influence, psychological mastery, physiological mastery. I'm like, this is what the entire world needs beyond power yoga, which I still love to this day. So I was like, I've got to train with him. I've got to do this. So he's a trainer for the High Performance Institute, and they've done the world's largest studies on success. And they have a whole foundational curriculum that they use. So I started coaching that way. I got my training. I recertified every single year because I'm a big fan of skill set development. You want to keep going back to the source to get stronger and better. And over time, it morphed. So I started as a certified high performance coach. I'm still certified. I recertify every 2 years now. But I tweaked it for what I've found with my clients actually works. So I have a good foundation with research and data, and then I add on to it and I customize it for my clients.
I absolutely, that's amazing. So I love, one of the parts that really sticks out to me is where you were talking about yoga, right? You were talking about somebody in a pigeon pose, just
Yeah.
bawling their eyes out. And I'm like playing that in my mind, like, and then you go, I look at this and I think, okay, how do I dive in? What is the root cause? What is the issue? What is the underlying issue that's causing all of this, the reaction, the coming in for yoga for help, maybe even to fill a void, right? And then then the tears that follow. I think that, your devotion to diving deep and actually going in and digging in and saying, okay, what do we really need to address here? And how do we address it? The other thing that really resonates with me is, and I'll be honest, and maybe I'm a little naive, but when I think of the word clarity, like I think of like a light bulb moment, I'm like, oh, there it is. Oh, yes. It's, and in my thoughts, I've always thought like it happens like that. Like, oh, here's my moment of clarity.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that you said it, the way that you said, like, hey, it all circles out, it circles around, and it's eventual, it comes through. I appreciate, like, I'm gonna take both of those from today. Like, I really appreciate that.
Clarity is something that's really interesting because I, like you, used to see it that way. Like, this aha moment, this big moment of clarity. It's like somebody hands you a box of clarity and you open it up and then your
Thank you.
whole life makes sense. And we do have those aha moments like I had in Colorado where
Yeah.
it was a wake-up call. But we also every day as high performers need to wake up and get clear on what our priorities are, what matters most. We have to be clear on where we're going because otherwise we get on that circle like a hamster on a wheel and we just go through the motions of life and we wake up one day when the wheel stops and we're like, what happened? Where did
Yeah.
my life go?
Yeah. Right on. So current state, Julie, current state, you're obviously doing a bunch of that high performance coaching and things like that, correct?
Yeah, so I do high performance coaching. I specialize in customized high performance coaching.
Yeah.
So working with the higher level clients on really diving deep into what's going on in their life. And I become the bridge from where they are to where they want to be. I
Okay.
really help them, but I help them all along the way. And it's a combination of mindset, equipping them with skill set, a lot of the softer skills, effective communication, conflict resolution. Those are things that show up in
Yeah.
every field, and the high performance habits that they need. Because I find a lot of the programs, like you were saying, they're cookie cutter,
Right.
and if you want to be one of the many, that's fine. Do a program like that. That's great. It will help you. Those programs are good for certain things. But if you really want to transform your life, and I say dominate your industry, because if you really want to be a leader, then you have to have someone on your side that is also a leader and that can help you get to where you need to be, not where the general masses need to be.
Yes, exactly. And that is one of the reasons why I'm like, I'll be honest with you. Like I looked at your profile and I know I've been following you for a long time. I looked at your profile. I'm like, okay, she's got like, I don't know, like almost like 80, I think you're over 80,000 followers. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to do a shot in the dark here and send her a DM and say, look, I want to talk to you on Way of the Warrior because of this fact right here, because it's not a cookie cutter program. It's not, you're not just coming at it with, the same way as everybody else.
Right.
You have your own specific,
Yeah.
unique way that clearly works. So Julie, as
Oh
you,
my gosh. Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, the most humbling part of my job is when people care enough to write a recommendation. And if I ever like feel a wane in my motivation, I go and read those, and some of them bring tears to my eyes because when you're a catalyst and you're a facilitator of transformation, it's mind-blowing what people can do.
Oh, preach. So oh man, this I absolutely have loved this show. So as you look forward, Julie, as you look into the future, what does that look like for you? Like where's I mean, clearly the trajectory is like this, but where's this going?
I found I got a little caught up in it all. As my brand kind of took off and I got all of this attention, I got pulled in a lot of directions. Oh, you should have your streaming TV show. Oh, be on this board. Oh, do this and that and the other. And those things are great, but they were pulling me off track from my foundation, which is helping people be empowered and become the best version of themselves through customized coaching. So I always want to keep that. I always want to do that. Some of the other things I do that I don't talk a lot about is I do those like programs that are like, you want to do leadership development. Great. I have a program for that.
Right.
It's a lower price point and it's still really effective. So I do those like professional development programs of like mindset mastery, leadership development. So not everybody is willing to invest in customized coaching. So I do have some of those programs that go through. My favorite thing to do is to facilitate in-person leadership trainings. I love the offsite ones because travel is one of my passions. So there's nothing like going away with a group of leaders and diving deep. And I customize that as well. So companies will hire me and say, here are the issues that we're seeing. Here's what we want to work on. And I create that, I build that. My master's is in curriculum and instruction. So that's how I customize because I know how to build out a curriculum for students.
That's
so I've
awesome.
taken that with my coaching and all the trainings from yoga, mindfulness, meditation, and high performance, which are the yin and the yang energies. I bring them together. And then once I dive deep with a client, I customize it. So I do the same things for companies.
That's awesome. So I appreciate, because I'll admit, like I've been there too, right? Where you have all of the different things pinging you, and then somebody's like, "Hey, you should do this." You're like, "Oh, okay." And so you start to chase that, and then what? Oh, I forgot. Now I forgot about this. Pretty soon you got so many irons in the fire. Yeah, I don't even know which one to focus on, and we get lost in that, and then we forget. Wait, what was the true purpose for all of this? What was the vision?
Right.
What was I originally in this to do? So I really appreciate you talking about that as you look at, how you're refocusing at times and moving toward the future. That's absolutely amazing. I got to ask, okay, what's your favorite place? You said you like to travel. What's your favorite place that you've been? I've seen a lot of pictures.
I have a few. I mean, I've traveled a lot. When I re-envisioned my life a decade ago, travel was the top. I was like, I want to travel the world. And since then, I've been to about 40 countries. So yeah, it's like, boom. I love travel. Top three. I love Turkey. I've been to Istanbul a few times. Love it. Morocco, Marrakesh, and down by Tagazout. Amazing. And then I am a romantic at heart. So Paris, France, Paris. Oh, those three. I don't know if I can narrow it down, but what I think is interesting about like Istanbul and all the areas I've been in Morocco are that they're so different from America and they're mystical, they're magical. And I love that. I love to go to a place where everyone isn't like me and the food is different, the culture is different, the language is different. I feel it enriches your life in so many ways.
I absolutely. I love it. I love that aspect. Like you're like, look, I want to go learn too. I want to go embrace these different cultures. I want to experience that. And I think that is absolutely important, especially as a leader, because you can take those experiences, you can put them into your coaching, and you can put them in shows like this, just simply talking about where you've been and what you've done and how that has impacted you.
Yes. And you asked me what was next.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that's next for me is combining my coaching and training with my love for travel. And they're going to be like so much more than destination trainings and so much more than retreats. I call them experiences because I want them to be immersive experiences in becoming your best self, being fully present. Like this, we don't do. When I do trainings, I honestly make people turn their phones off. One of the group executive team trainings I did recently, I collected their phones because I didn't trust that they wouldn't sit there under the table like this and be on it the whole time. So my experiences will have a component of digital detox in them.
Nice.
Because I think people, to create the change that we're talking about, like you really want to change your life, you've got to be fully present. And this doesn't work. If you really want to change your life, my phone is on do not disturb 20 hours a day. There's a 4-hour period where it will actually ring. Now, it doesn't mean I don't look at it, but I look at it when I choose to.
I love that. So, limiting, to your point, limiting those distractions so that you can make sure that your focus stays exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah. And, Trevor, it's interesting to note, like my necessity is high. And I think that's something people don't talk a lot about, but I don't have time for the nonsense. I'm a single mother of 3. My daughter goes to NYU. Like, that's no joke. That tuition is no joke. And so when you talk about success and clarity, mindset mastery, all of these things, the biggest thing that drives me is connecting with my why and my necessity. And it's like, my why is to provide an amazing life for my children. And how do I do that with my other why, bringing that together of helping people be empowered to be their best selves? Because I was not empowered when I woke up and realized that I'd been leading a life that I was kind of indoctrinated into. I didn't feel powerful at all. I didn't even know who I was. And I was in a really unhealthy marriage. So my self-esteem was in the tank. And it took some time. It took some big time. So I hope that's a message to everyone out there who might be in a situation where they feel like it's impossible. They look out there, they see all the highlight reels on social media, and they're like, good for her or good for him, but like, I can't do that. Anybody can achieve success if you are willing to commit and have that unrelenting commitment to creating a life you love. You can do it.
I'm so pumped up. Like, I mean, after this, like that right there, and to your like looking at the past, where you've gone or where you've come from, excuse me, it's clear that message is clear because you're living proof of that, and that is truly amazing.
Yes. So warriors out there, integrity is huge. I don't think you should follow people or work with people who aren't walking the talk.
Preach.
Nothing drives me more crazy than watching people get on stage or get out there in social media and preach and preach and preach. And then it's all a bunch of BS. They don't live it. So for me, I think you have to do that. If you want to be a leader, you have to lead by example, and integrity is key.
Absolutely. So Julie, like I have to say, as this draws to a close, I really appreciate you being here once again and taking time out of your busy schedule, to share this message with the audience. So as the audience is listening to this and they want to find you, what platforms, like where are you at? How can they connect with you?
I live on LinkedIn, and it's interesting. You mentioned like I have grown a really amazing community there. I don't get tied into the numbers because LinkedIn plays with it all. And like a few months ago, I lost like over 10,000 followers in one day from some bot glitch thing. So I don't really like get caught up in the numbers of it. What I care about is creating that community of supportive people. If you feel like you want to accomplish something amazing, like join my LinkedIn community, because people like you and other amazing warriors are out there. And that's where the power of social media comes into play. Is like, I create content that will benefit you, that you can apply to your life and become better. And then you also meet other people that will join you that are also bettering their lives, because when you feel alone, you're not going to accomplish the things that you need to.
Right on. Right on. Well, Julie, once again, thank you so much for being here. Like, it's been absolute an honor to sit down and talk with you. Audience, thank you for being here and watching this. Please make sure you click that subscribe button, because there will be obviously more Way of the Warriors dropping, and definitely go make sure that you connect with Julie. I promise you, you will not regret it. So thank you, Julie, for being here. And audience, once again, thank you for watching.
Trevor, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been fun. I wish we could go on and on and on. I'm like, Way of the Warrior, like that's like we're speaking the same language. Love it. So thank you
Let's
for
go.
having me.
No problem. Hey, I can't wait to talk again.